Alright, so it's Monday, May the 23rd, 2016, and I'm at the intersection of Yonge and Bloor in Toronto. And in this video, I'm going to give a tour on my bike of Bloor Street West. Alright, so I'm starting this video from just a little bit east of Yonge Street on Bloor in Toronto. And we're heading in the west direction, and we're going to go about 5 or 6 kilometers to the west from here along Bloor Street. This is Yonge Street right here. Yonge and Bloor, which is kind of the main intersection of Toronto. It's where the two main subway lines cross, the Yonge line and the Bloor line. And that's the busiest subway station underground of that intersection there. And this area up here near Yonge and Bloor is known as Yorkville, or at least the area that's a little bit north of Bloor is known as Yorkville. This has a lot of shopping in this area around here. This is Bay Street here we're coming up to, the traffic light. So I've made quite a few videos in the past of me riding around different areas of Toronto, and generally the theme of videos, I often pick roads that have bike infrastructure on them, like bike lanes or cycle tracks, protected bike lanes, whatever. And you'll notice that Bloor doesn't have that. But the reason I decided to do it on Bloor is because just a few weeks ago the city approved a pilot project to put bike lanes on Bloor. So they're not installed yet. They'll get installed hopefully later this summer. But I thought it would be a good opportunity to make kind of a before video to show what they look like before bike lanes, and then in a couple months I can come back and show what it looks like when it actually has bike lanes on it. So as I mentioned, north of here would be known as Yorkville, but south of here is where the University of Toronto is. It's a very, very large university campus in the downtown core of this city. So this here we're coming up to is Avenue Road. And this is where the bike lanes will start. On the left side there's a big interesting looking building over there. That is the Royal Ontario Museum, also known as the ROM, R-O-M. And then over there on the left is a little stadium. Just kind of point over there. Varsity Stadium, that's where the football team plays for the University of Toronto. So now we've passed through Yorkville. And north of this area, so basically on my right hand side, all that area up there is known as the Annex. And that's because originally the border of Toronto, this is back in the 1800s, the border of Toronto only came as far north as Bloor, and beyond there was not part of the city of Toronto. And then when they started to develop it, the developer made some kind of a deal with the city of Toronto for them to let them be part of Toronto, and that area was annexed, as it's called. It was joined together with the city. There's a double-decker bus on our left, which is showing tourists all around Toronto. Now today is a Monday morning. It's about 10 a.m. in the morning, but it's a holiday Monday. Today is a statutory holiday. It's called Victoria Day, I guess in honor of Queen Victoria's birthday. So this road, looks a lot different in terms of the traffic and everything today because of everyone being off work today. There's pretty much just about everything is closed except for, convenience stores and restaurants and things like that. Most of the regular stores are closed. So on a Monday morning, this would be a much busier road most days. But it's a really good opportunity to be able to go riding on it today. Good opportunity for making this video. It's a big old church there on the right. That's Bloor Street United Church. Now it's just Huron Street we were crossing. This big building on the left is another University of Toronto building. This is Spadina Avenue we're going to be crossing here after the light changes. Spadina is a north-south street that has a streetcar track which runs along it. And historically, Spadina, when it was first here, was originally pronounced Spadina, but most people these days pronounce it Spadina, including myself. So this whole area here, as I said, starting from Avenue Road, is going to have bike lanes along it. And the way that the street is laid out right now is there are 2 lanes of traffic in each direction, but most of the time the outer lane is used for car parking, street parking. The only exception to that is when there is rush hour traffic in the mornings coming into the city on the westbound or the eastbound lane. There's no parking on that side, so there's 2 lanes coming in, only 1 lane going out. And then in the afternoon, it's the opposite. So with the bike lanes in, what they're going to do is they're going to maintain parking on only one of the 2 sides at any given spot, but they're going to add in left turn lanes at all of the intersections. So essentially, it's going to function mostly the same with having 2 lanes of car traffic coming in and out of the city all the time, except during rush hour it's still only going to be the two lanes of traffic in each 1 lane of traffic in each direction. And then there's going to be about half as much parking, but there's going to be nice, hopefully really safe bike lanes in either direction. Just going past the Bloor Cinema here on the right hand side. And we're approaching Bathurst Street. And I'm kind of glad we got a red light because there's a very interesting building there on the left hand side. See, with the big sign that says Honest Ed's. That's an old discount department store that's been in Toronto for, I don't know, must be at least 50 years. And very elaborate signage. And during the night, it's covered in little light bulbs, and they light those up, and it's very bright and very unique. Honest Ed's is, like, as I said, kind of a discount department store. I guess maybe kind of similar to Walmart, but it's been around forever. And it's, it's a private, it's like privately owned. It's only one of a kind. But unfortunately, they're going to be closing their doors at the end of this calendar year. So this area here now we're running through. We were just, after we crossed Bathurst, we were no longer in the Annex. This area here is known as Koreatown. So you'll notice that there's lots of businesses and restaurants and things that sell Korean food and other kinds of Asian foods. The businesses seem to all be occupied or owned or run by people from Korea, although most of the houses in this area don't seem to have very many Korean people that actually live in this area. It's just the businesses mostly, which I've always found interesting. So the pilot bike lanes are going to go from Avenue Road until a street called Shaw Street, which is the one that has a contraflow bike lane on it. The distance is about, I think, a little bit over 2 kilometers of the street, but it's a pilot project. So if there's success, if people are happy with how the bike lanes are working, how the traffic's flowing, and how it's working, having a little bit less parking, then the plan would be to extend the bike lanes further and beyond. Because Bloor is a very long street which extends way out, you know, past the downtown core into the inner suburbs of Etobicoke, and I think it even goes beyond into the Mississauga border, which is the suburb that's just outside of Toronto on the west side. This road here is called Christie Street. And all the way along here there are subway stops, which I haven't been pointing out, but there's a subway stop here for Christie. And there's also an interesting park over here on our right hand side called Christie Pits, which is kind of it's called Pits because it's actually kind of the bottom of a big valley. It's its own little, I guess it looks kind of like an old gravel pit. I don't think it actually ever was a gravel pit, but it's just a pit where it, you know, goes down from all directions, and it's just there. So continuing on. It sure is a nice day. It's about, the thermometer said it's only about 17 degrees Celsius, but it feels quite a bit warmer than that to me. I guess in the sun it's warmer than in the shade. This is Montrose Avenue that we're waiting to cross here. And we just saw a family with a little kid on a bike and a dad pulling a bike trailer behind it. Certainly are lots of cyclists in the city. It's great that they're going to have bike lanes on Bloor soon to ride to, because there are bike lanes on a few, you know, parallel routes to Bloor. There's the, you know, Harbord and Wellesley and Hoskin that I made my last Toronto cycling video about. And there's another one that's fairly north of here called Davenport. But Bloor is the main street, and it has, you know, all the businesses and destinations that most people want to go to. So it really makes sense to have bike lanes. So this is Shaw Street. This is where the bike lane ends. And it's a one-way street. I mean, when I say where the bike lanes end, I mean where the bike lanes will end when they get installed for the pilot. It's a one-way street, but it has a contraflow bike lane, which means that bikes have the privilege of riding in either direction on it, and their own separate little lane. This is Ossington Avenue. It's another one with a subway stop underneath it. We continue west. As we get further and further away from Yonge, I become less and less knowledgeable about the geography over here. But I'll still point out as many things as I can, like Long and McQuaid Musical Instruments, which is there on the left. It's actually, I think, 4 different storefronts along there that all belong to that same business. They have them all. Very large music store with lots of different areas for different types of instruments. Like there's a keyboard one, specific one, and a band instrument one, and guitars, and I think drums even have their own one. Long and McQuaid is a chain which goes across Canada. The music store that I went to when I was a kid, which was nearest to where I lived in Whitby, was one in Oshawa, which was the Long and McQuaid location. So it's been a while since I posted a video. I think the last one I posted was when I was riding my bike in Chicago. I really enjoyed that trip. It was really fun going there. It's a really nice city. It was, you know, it was never on the top of my list of cities that I wanted to visit. But then when the opportunity came up with my family wanting to go there, I thought, sure, let's go. And I really enjoyed it. It's really a nice city. It's similar size to Toronto, so there's something nice about that is kind of similar in a way. And of course, I really enjoyed riding my bike there, or riding not my bike, but riding the bike share bike that we borrowed, the divvy bike. This is Dufferin Street. I'm going to try and beat this traffic light. Our traffic lights on the pedestrian side have numbers that count down to let pedestrians know how much longer they have to cross the street. And those are really handy as a cyclist, because if you see that the numbers are counting down, and you know how many seconds you've got until there's a yellow light, so it gives you a little heads up whether you should ride a little bit faster or not, so you can avoid missing so many green lights. This area is known as the Bloordale village. This next intersection up here is called Lansdowne, and that's another one that has a subway stop underneath it. And up here we're going to be going under some railway tracks. This is not the main railway line here, but we will be crossing that soon. And I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get there. I don't think I'm going to make this traffic light. So up ahead you can see the next set of railway tracks, and there's actually some orange painted on there that says West Toronto Rail Path, and there's actually a multi-use trail which goes along those railway tracks. I've never actually explored that yet, though it's something I'd like to see someday. Potentially, maybe after I'm finished making this video, I'll go over there and take a look at it. But the other unique thing about these railway tracks is that there's a commuter, well, there's a commuter train which goes into the downtown core from here, but there's also a airport train which goes from the Toronto Pearson International Airport all the way down to our main Union Station. There's actually a stop here. It's called the Union Pearson Express. And they just put it in last summer, and I actually had the privilege of using it when I went to Chicago. That's how I got to the airport. I took the regular subway out this way, and then I walked with my suitcase along Bloor, and then I got onto the Union Pearson. And since I wasn't riding it all the way from Union Station to Pearson, it was a much lower price. I forget the amount, but it's around $5 or so to get to the airport, which is definitely affordable. This is, I believe, can't see a sign. What street is this? I think it's, Bloor Street West. So in the downtown core, Bloor Street is mostly an east-west street, but Dundas doesn't really go in a line with all the other, doesn't really stay parallel with all the other east-west streets. It kind of snakes all over the place, and it goes pretty far north. So when it crosses Bloor, it's actually a north-south street, but very briefly. This intersection we're coming up to up here is called Keele Street, or at least in the north it's called Keele, and then south of it it's called Parkside Drive. And the reason that the road's called Parkside is because we're just coming up to Toronto's largest park, or at least the largest park in the downtown core, which is called High Park. And that's going to be the end of my video. I'm going to just ride up to the top of the hill here and just take a turn into the High Park, and then we'll end the video there. Last year we had the Pan Am Games, which was fun for seeing lots of different sports and events going on in the city. And one of the events that I came to watch was the road cycling race, which I'd never seen before in person. And that was hosted around this area here. So there's a section of the ride that went right through High Park. I'm just gonna signal and get into the left turn lane here. Hopefully I can make it before the light changes. Oh, I don't think I'll make it. Well, I can just use the crosswalk here to get across. So this here is High Park. As I said, one of the largest parks definitely the largest park in the downtown core. Anyways, hope you've enjoyed joining me on this ride across Bloor Street West. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this video. And thanks for watching.